and starts presenting. Good luck, Alan. This will be good. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Hopefully my sound is okay, and if it's not, you could just send a message in the chat and I'll try to fix that. Okay, let's go. And I'll start by sharing my screen, that one. Perfect. And yeah, so we're gonna do a few slides and then jump into a demo on this one. So my session is called Zero Downtime Migration, migrating a live API management instance into the new V2 SKUs. And this is partially something, or it's based on something I did for a customer this summer. And the lessons learned about that will also be shared. So starting about me, I work currently as a cloud advisor in Cloud Center of Excellence in Atea, Norway. My focus is mostly on cost management, cost optimization, infrastructure as code, and automation. So let's talk about the session today, which will be something simple as this one. Right here, we have a architecture of a very simple version of it. We have a app gateway standing in front of a internal API management with a backend function app for the function. So we're using it pretty simple in this example, and this is also how we're going to do the demo. But the thought here is that they have realized that they have a premium V1 SKU for the API management, and the customer wants to migrate to the new V2 SKUs without any downtime, because these are critical resource or critical services running on this one. So let's start on what's new in the V2 SKUs. So a huge difference in this is the configurations. If you've ever deployed or changed anything in the configuration for an API management service in Azure, you know that it takes time. With the V1 SKUs, it can take up to 45 minutes to an hour, while with the new V2 SKUs, it's a matter of minutes. So it's extremely faster. I have experienced that it's a bit of a trick from Microsoft, a magic trick. They will update the portal, but the change is happening in the background. So it seems like for you, you don't have to sit and wait in the portal for everything to change, but in the background, the operations still take a fair amount of time, but not closely enough like the V1 SKUs. So the second new thing is that they actually added an SLA for all of the different tiers. So in V1, you only had the premium one, where you could get the SLA, but in the V2, you have it for you have SLA for both basic, standard, and premium. Now, the next feature with networking, it's classical Microsoft in Azure to say that if you want private or VNet integration, private outbound network, you need to go to premium SKU. And same thing is for API management. In the V1 SKUs, you had to go to the premium SKU because that was the only one that had the VNet injection with SLA. You also have the developer SKU that you could have the same features for networking, but it would be without the SLA and not recommended to use in production. So this means that you can actually get a quite big cost reduction for API management, because the premium one is on, it costs around 32,000 Norwegian kroners per month, while if you go to the standard V2, it only costs around 8,000 NOK per month. So quite a big reduction in cost, and you will still get it with VNet integration and VNet or private endpoints for the gateway. The premium tier of the V2 is still in preview. So go check the updated list from Microsoft on what's the capabilities in that tier. If you need, for example, availability zones or multi-region, they are not supported in the standard one. And as of today, it's not supported in the public preview of the premium V2 either. So combining all of these, most cases I've seen, you can get a quite hefty cost reduction in your monthly cost if you don't need the premium tiers. I know a lot of customers have gone for the premium V1 SKU because they need the private networking, but with V2, it's not necessary. So if you want to go to the V2, can you just press a button and say migrate? Well, no. Currently, you can't. Currently, Microsoft does not have a simple way to migrate to the new tiers. So you have to set up a parallel instance and then switch the traffic over. And that's what we're going to look at today, how we can use a tool called API Ops from Microsoft to migrate the configurations from the old instance to a new instance. And a short introduction to API Ops before we jump into the demo. So API Ops is a set of tools with workflows in GitHub and pipelines for Azure DevOps. And it's down to two major parts, the extractor and the publisher. So the extractor is a workflow that goes and collects all the configuration of a API management instance and then puts it in as a code in your repository. And then you have the publisher workflow that takes the code and definitions that you have for the configuration and then pushes it to another instance. This tool was originally meant by Microsoft to be used if you have multi-environments and you want to have a consistency between the environments. So let's say you have dev, test, and production. You can use this to make the changes in dev with ClickUps. By the way, it works. And then you can extract the artifacts and configuration, have it in code, and then push it to all the other environments with a parameter file that helps you change specific values. So you get a configuration as code. And of course, there's no simple way to put it. So you're going to get both YAML files, JSON files, and XML files. So if you hate one of them, you're not going to be happy with you having to use all of them. And then another part that's quite good as well, you can get linting into it with using Spectral. So Spectral is a tool that lints the API definitions against open API standards, meaning that you will get a feedback on the APIs that you're developing and seeing, is this optimized standard? Is it up to open API standards? And then you can also use it as a CI pipeline, having a separate pipeline that checks on new code coming in through pull requests, and then having a quality gate that says, sorry, your new APIs that you have added, they're not up to the open API standards that we require. You're not allowed to merge in this code to the main repo and then pushing it to the rest of the instances. We're not going to look at that part specifically. We're going to use the out-of-the-box workflows that Microsoft brings. Okay, so let's jump into the demo. So looking right here, I have a API management service, which is just a demo I've set up. It has one API, it has two products. And in this product, I also have a policy set, which super simple as well, just starter policy. It has a subscription, and then it has one named value for my IP, which is just to have a variable, and then a backend that sets up to a function app that I have. So in addition to this, I also have a new one. So this is the standard V2 tier, one of the new ones. And if you see here, there's no APIs, there's no products, no named values, and no backends. So what we're going to do right now, we're actually going to look at the workflows that we have. So this is the extractor. So this is taken from Microsoft. They have a repo. I'll show a link for it later on where you can find it. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. The only thing I've added into this is the version that I want to use. And then I've added some secrets to my GitHub repo so that it can authenticate to Azure and then find the resources. So other than that, it's not much that I've actually changed on this one. It's pretty simple. It will go and extract everything, and then it will create a pull request in the repo. And then we also have a publisher, which does, it looks a bit more complicated, but it's just as simple where it has a version, it has the same secrets that I've set up with a different environment, and it will do the same thing. It would take the code that's in the artifact and then it will push it to the new API management service. So we're not going to look too much at the code. Let's just go and see how it actually works, because this is quite a quick process. So in my remote repo, I have the workflows added. And if we go in and see, we have the extractor. And we can just press run. And I would like to extract all of the APIs and the OpenAPI version 3 for the specification format. Now, when we press run, it will quickly start running. And if we look at it, you can see that it's starting to extract everything from the API management, which is the old one. And it's moving quite quickly because it's not a lot of configuration. And when that is done, it moves on to the next step, which is to create the pull request.
Alan,
Yep.
we have a request for if you can zoom a little bit in your windows,
Yeah.
a step or two.
Let's see. 1, 2.
That's better.
Better?
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So it's now done. And if I go into pull requests, I can actually see that it has created an automated pull request. And what it is done now is that it's added a folder called API or APIM artifacts. And it has taken everything from the information to the different operations for the API. It has added the policy, the specification. It has all of the groups that's added. It added my backend settings, diagnostic settings, and it's a bit messy looking at it right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to merge this pull request into main. And then if we look at it here, we will get a better view. So you can see that everything is here. In the products, we can see that we have connected the API to the product. We have the policy that was set, same. And we also have the subscriptions added to it. So if you have, for example, different environments and you have different values that you need to change with a parameter file, you have the configuration file. So right now, because I wanted to migrate the configuration as is, I'm not going to change anything, but you can change all of these, like the name values, the loggers, the diagnostic settings, backends, and APIs. One thing I want to add, if you are not used to using named values, which is just variables, I would highly recommend starting to use named values because it makes it so much easier to actually change between. If you have something that's different in the different environments that you have and you need to change it with parameters, add it as a named value and then use the configuration.yaml to actually change the value there. Because, for example, if you see in here, you have something, if something says in the specification, you can't actually change it in the configuration file. It's only in the JSON files with information where you can go and change things. Right. Now that we've looked quickly at that, let's have another look at the publisher. So as you can see, it's sitting in waiting for me right now. And what it's actually waiting for is for me to go in and review it. So quality gate here, I say that it's okay to push. I approve it. Then it's going to start actually pushing everything. So since again, it's not a lot of configuration, this one will also run quite quickly. Just sit and wait. As you can see here, it's actually also running the linting part with Spectral, since it's not a big specification for the API, for my test API, it doesn't bring any errors or warnings. Okay, so just as quick as that, it's done. So if I now go to the new API management, I can go and see here. Now suddenly my products are here, the API is here, the named value is here, and my backend is here. So the configuration that I had for the old instance is now completely also like replicated to the new one. And if I want to do any changes on that later, I can go and do the changes in the old one and then run the workflow again, merge it in, and then apply, and the publisher will only take those changes in and apply them. So that was quickly on that one. So now that we have two instances, how do we actually go ahead and change this for the traffic? Since we are using the application gateway right here, the only thing that we need, of course, after testing with a separate front end, so that we can verify that traffic works from the front end through the new API management instance into the backend. The only thing we would need then to change the production is to actually change the routing on the application gateway to the new backend that we have connected, and then it will route all the way to the end. It's as simple as that. Actually changing the backend is minimal downtime. When we did it in a production environment, we didn't notice any packets that were dropped, no requests failed at the backend, not in the application gateway. So it was pretty smooth transition. And yeah, that was what I had. This is the repo that Microsoft has. If you also just Google for Azure API apps, you will get right there. Right, that was what I had. Martin, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you for your walkthrough, Erlend. I have one question which is partially related to my own experience, but if you're using API management and let's say you're issuing customer, a third-party customer access keys or anything like that to access the APIs, how would you? Is there anything, any possible way to migrate those, or would you need to like issue new keys and stuff?
So you're thinking about keys for the subscriptions?
Yeah, potentially, yes.
Yeah. So if you have them as named values, you can actually put them in a key vault, and then you can have the reference to the key vault in the named value, and that will migrate over to the new one as well. So it will be identical.
Okay, nice.
Any other questions?
It seems we don't have any more questions in the chat. So people, if you have questions, you can raise your hand, you can put it in the chat. Use the chance to ask the expert now.
It was just too easy, and you didn't spend any time explaining the difficult stuff, because now we think that you only spent 20 minutes on this.
Yeah, like first time setting this up, it took a long time because the documentation is a bit lacking from Microsoft. And then setting it up, this demo, the most time I actually spent almost trying to get it to work with federated credentials, but it doesn't support that. So I had to go for a client secret instead. So yeah, it didn't take much time setting it up the second time. The first time was a bit of a hassle, but second time, very simple.
That's the usual thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think the window for submitting questions has passed now, and yeah, let's stop the recording and say thank you for your presentation, Erlend. It was quite clear and good delivery. So thank you again for contributing to Azure User Group Norway.
Thanks for having me.